The most terrifying thing about working in the lumberyard has finally happened. Looking at Mary's bloody arm, Jim's first reaction was to pull it out. Mary screamed in pain at his reckless action. Without timely help, she could bleed to death. To save her life, Jim reluctantly picked up the axe. Despite Mary's pleas, he swung down and severed her arm in one blow. Mary was once the most beautiful woman in town. Her husband, Jim, doted on her and bought her whatever she wanted. After the lumberyard accident, although her life was saved, her beauty was lost forever. The stares of strangers made it hard for her to accept the harsh reality of her injury. Her personality became more extreme. One day, Jim brought a box. Inside was a prosthetic arm Jim had made for her. But Mary felt that cold stainless steel didn't suit her noble style. Jim watched his wife cry every day, so he carefully crafted a new arm for her. This time, Mary was finally satisfied. But she gave Jim one more request. She wanted the arm to be made of pure gold. Although they weren't wealthy, Jim wanted to satisfy his wife. He sold everything valuable in the house, and even took out a massive loan from the bank, just to buy 3 gold bricks. He melted the gold down at high temperatures, and carefully poured it into a mold. When Mary put it on, she instantly regained her confidence. She became more arrogant than before, showing off her golden arm to everyone. She wanted everyone to know that her arm was golden, but the good times didn't last long. The beauty on the outside was eroding her body on the inside. Due to Mary's long-term use of the golden arm, she developed a rare lung condition. The doctor said if she didn't remove the golden arm, there would be no way to save her life. But Mary's vanity was too strong. "If I don't take it off, I'll die. But if I take it off, I'll die," she reasoned. She stubbornly refused the doctor's advice. Soon, Mary was on her deathbed. Before she passed, she made one last request to her husband. She wanted Jim to bury her with the golden arm. Out of love, Jim agreed to her request. Soon, it was Mary's funeral. Jim dressed his wife beautifully and buried her with the golden arm as agreed. Since Mary's death, Jim had been in agony every day. To make matters worse, they were already facing an economic crisis. The huge loan became unbearable for him. One night, Jim looked at a photo of his wife. He decided to retrieve the golden arm. It was the only way to ease his financial burden. Grabbing the axe he had once used on Mary's arm, he went to the cemetery and dug up her grave. He swung the axe, breaking open the coffin lid mercilessly. His wife's decomposing body startled him, but the golden arm was still shining. Jim tried to pull it off his wife's body, but no matter how hard he tried, the golden arm wouldn't budge. Jim had no choice but to swing the axe again and cut off Mary's arm. But as soon as he removed the golden arm, Mary suddenly opened her eyes and stared at him. Jim was terrified. He dropped the golden arm and ran away in fear. When he got home, he carefully placed the golden arm on the table. Suddenly, a strange noise came from outside the house. Jim grabbed a flashlight and went outside to check. Fortunately, it was just a tree blowing in the wind. Then, a sudden gust shook the whole house again. Mary's photo fell to the ground as well. Strangely, Jim found Mary's photo holding the axe. He picked it up and examined it. He noticed that Mary's eyes in the photo seemed to be moving. Suddenly, Mary's eyes shifted in the photograph. Horrified, Jim threw the photo aside. He then grabbed the golden arm and rushed upstairs. At that moment, the front door downstairs swung open on its own. A shadowy figure entered, walking heavily. The figure's mutilated hand glinted in the dim light. Jim hurriedly shut his bedroom door and hid under the covers. By this time, the figure is Mary, holding an axe, and had begun to ascend the stairs. Soon the door to his room creaked open. Jim watched as his decaying wife slowly approached him. In fear, he held out the golden arm, offering it to her. He watched as she turned and left the room. His heart finally felt some relief. Just as he breathed a sigh of relief, Mary suddenly appeared in front of him again. And with a swift blow, she swung the axe and broke Jim's neck. The next day, townsfolk discovered a scene that shocked them. Mary's golden arm tightly grasped in Jim's lifeless hand. Even in death, the couple seemed inseparable. The townsfolk buried them together, and everyone knew where the golden arm lay. But no one dared to disturb it ever again. That's the end. Thank you for watching.